What's up, lady?
Well,
Happy Valentine's Day.
happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day, guys.
Have you
This
had a
is
good
fun.
Valentine's morning?
I did. I got some nice presents for my
Yeah?
Valentine.
Yeah?
Yeah,
You like them?
I love them. I got some cozy slippers and the best sweatshirt. It was a
Yeah.
good job.
You're coming in a little blurry on my end. I don't know if that's just our connection.
Uh, I think it might be you. You look a little blurry on mine.
I look great on mine. Guys, do we look okay? All right, good talk. Uh, Hi.
Oh, Julia.
All right, so I wanted to ask you some questions, and
Yes.
I
Yes.
wanted to ask you about self-expression.
Okay.
And I wanted to, because we talk a lot, in our work, we talk a lot about the masculine and the feminine and containing and expression and all of the things. And I wanted to ask you, what makes you feel safe to express yourself?
Hmm. That's a good one. I was, I talk about this in sessions sometimes actually, that I've had this journey of finding my way with my relationship with the feminine, where I started as a feminist when I was in elementary school, like sixth grade or something, sixth, seventh grade. And looking back, I see, like, I was like, I wouldn't say like any word that had like man or son or anything, and I would say like lady instead of woman.
Mhm.
My principal called me Ms. Steinem on my report card, and I was like, what does that mean at the time? uh, and looking back, I realized that that's how I knew one could get power in the world, right? But by tapping into an expression that was seen of as masculine at the time. And I was like, well, I can do that. I can do just what any of these guys or men or boys are doing. And then I went through the opposite iteration of that after I became a woman and realized power in a different form, in a different expression. And I started acting and modeling, and I worked at Hooters and like got into that side of it.
If anybody wants to see a Hooters pic, I have a very special one that I can post at any time for any reason. Moving on.
There's a few. And and then the relationships that I had after that um, were ones where I didn't feel entirely empowered, and some of them were less empowered than others. And it was like I was finding my way in career. I became a mother the first time pretty young, um, and I felt disempowered in the financial aspect. And it's really been since our relationship that I have like this integration that's happened where I see that me being able to express my way in whatever way I feel is true or authentic for me. So much of it is like to do with the safety that I feel in this relationship and in this container, because I could be anything. I could express in any way. I could be a stay-at-home mom. When Valhalla was first born, I was more still building my business, and partly that. It could be like whatever it is, and it's my integration, and your containment is a reflection of that. But the acceptance really that I receive and that I feel allows me the safety to express in the ways that are right for me, and, and that you're not I'm not getting the message from you like it's bad to um, be any of these different things or be none of them, right? So I'm getting the acceptance that offers me the safety to be empowered, regardless of what I'm doing or regardless of how I'm expressing myself.
So basically, my security in our relationship allows this is just how I'm internalizing. My
Hmm.
security in myself and in our relationship allows for you to be free.
Yeah, your security, it, and I don't know if your security adds to your acceptance of me, because I'm not getting the message that I'm less than if I'm expressing or not expressing in a certain way,
Mhm.
right?
I can see that.
I don't know if I'm exactly answering your
Well,
question.
uh, yeah, you are. I mean, I feel like part of my job as your partner is to create the illusion of safety.
Hmm.
Um, and the psychological, spiritual, whatever word you want to put to it, the feeling of safety. Obviously, physically, nobody's ever safe, but there's a feeling. There's an understanding that you're safe in a dynamic.
Hmm.
And part of my job is to create an environment where you feel not just free but celebrated
Hmm.
to express yourself. And look, I can be a pain in the ass about it, right? Because I'm an irritable fuck sometimes, and that's real.
Hmm.
Um, but my intention is always for you to be um, the most fully expressed that you can be. And a lot of it actually just comes down, as far as I operate, to logic, because I've always felt that if I and I sat with this when we were at a journey. Fuck, it had to have been 5 years ago,
Hmm.
and you told me that you wanted to start acting again, and I lost my shit, and I and, and I sat with it. Uh,
That was pretty epic.
yeah,
It was pretty
and
epic.
the whole situation was epic. It was just all ridiculous. And but then I sat with it, and I was like, when we first got together, you said to me, I want what's best for me, and I want what's best for you, and from there we can do what's best for us.
Hmm.
And if you're clear on what's best for you, so if you feel aligned with what's best for you, and that includes some form of expression that maybe I have concerns about, I kind of feel like it's my obligation to trust that you are doing what's best for you, what's best for me, and what's best for us. That's I and so I kind of have made a decision to blindly trust you. Well, there's a point, there's obviously a line,
Hmm.
but if you're looking to express yourself, on the are you frozen? Oh, there you are. Who cares?
Hmm.
It's I I want you to feel that, because if it's repressed, I feel like then real problems come out because resentment shows up.
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. Um, it's funny. I just want to the story about when I was thinking about acting again. We were friends with someone in the business at the time had a lot of success in the business. And well, you first went to, oh my gosh, you're going to be in Spain doing a sex scene with Brad Pitt. I'm like, oh, damn, like,
Stand by
thank you for like believing in me like that. Like, maybe you should be my agent.
it. I'd have been good at that.
But then you were talking to this person that we were friends with at the time, and they were like, "Oh no, that terrible idea," which was maybe a bit of projection of their experience. But anyway,
I mean,
that was pretty
he
funny.
looked me straight in the eyes and he said, "This is a terrible idea. Whatever, whatever she's saying right now, make it stop."
Yeah, yeah. Um, but going back to the safety, one of the safest things for me is that I know you're not going anywhere. There's a consistency to the containment. There's a like a steadfastness to it. And that is another thing that allows me to have the space and the safety to be myself, really, to
Yeah,
express myself in the ways that I want to and need to.
yeah, I hear that. Um, what's the most fun way that you express yourself?
Mm, I don't know right now, actually. I don't know. Sax is fun. That's a fun way of expressing myself. Um, I like to just like sing and be silly and I do express myself through my work a lot. And that's really
Mhm.
fun in like the connection that I have with clients and then the expression. There's a lot of expression that comes through in that. But just sheer fun is like singing, just messing around. Um, yeah, I would say that.
And for anybody that's watching this, and I know the answer, but
Mm,
when you feel like you're contained and you feel like you're really operating from your feminine, what are some of the things that you do to let me know that you're in that space?
mm. To let you know that I feel contained?
Right.
Hmm. Hmm. That's a good question. I think there's a play and a relaxation that I
Hmm.
have. I would say I would say, hi Genevieve. I would say yeah, I would say there's a relaxed play and fun energy that I have when I feel very safe and contained.
Yeah, I feel that. Also, you tend to you rearrange the drawers, you do all the cute little girly things that um, that I've noticed from the very beginning of our relationship is when you feel sort of happy, you
Hmm.
start rearranging.
Hmm. Actually, yeah, I can see that. And there's also like then I want to like explore possibility more.
Yeah, and I can be annoying in that
Yeah.
too because I'm very much a product of routine and I like things to be how they are. Um, and I have, a world class um, case of ADD, and so when things get moved around, I lose my shit. Um, but I do enjoy watching you do it, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
But the results are a little
Yeah.
off for me.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, actually, also when I start to explore possibility, it sometimes can put you on your heels too. So it could be like this cycle of like, I feel safe, I move things around, I want to like expand the vision, I want to feel into possibility, and then you can get like kicked out, which causes you to be off the containing game.
Well, so what happens to me is when you go
Uh-huh.
there, because I'm a dude and we are wired a certain way, I go into, well, how am I going to make this happen? There's not really an exploration for me. It feels like a marching order for me. So if you're like, let's look at houses, I'm like, oh shit. I'm like, great. How am I? Now I'm thinking about the down payment, the property taxes, the da, and all you want to do is sit on your phone and look at houses.
Hmm.
So it's just kind of like it's kind of like
Thanks, Jared.
it's an interesting dynamic that we have in that because and then I'll do it and you'll be like, well, why didn't you want to do it when I wanted to do it? And it's kind of a fun little it's a funny little
Mhm.
thing that we do for sure.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Oh, Jared gets it.
I mean,
Um,
I think it's very natural in relationship, honestly.
yeah.
It,
Which part?
well, so like when Valhalla was born,
Hmm.
okay, you're thinking about well, I have this little girl and she's really cute, so I'm gonna put her in the cutest outfits and I'm gonna buy her all of these things and da da da. And you know what I was thinking about?
college.
College fund.
Dave. Yeah. Dave's the real, I'm the feeler. Love that. Yeah.
Yeah, college fund.
Yeah.
I was thinking about, well, shit. I'm gonna have to pay for preschool, which is, by the way, preschool is one of the world's biggest rackets. And then and then this and this and this and this and then college fund and oh shit, I'm gonna have the wedding to pay for. I'm like, bro. And all you're thinking is, dude, can you believe these pink new Uggs that are
Yeah.
coming out?
It's true.
It is true.
Yeah.
And it's weird because I think that, and a part of my growth is learning how to use that as an invitation for me to grow versus feeling it as pressure to fail,
Mm. Yeah.
you know?
Mm-hmm.
And because if I go into panic mode, that gets felt.
Mm-hmm.
It gets felt by you, it gets felt by the people that I'm coaching, it gets felt by people if I'm selling them. Like desperation is very easily
Mm-hmm.
felt. And I think we all go there as men.
Right. So how do you do that? How do you work with it?
That cold plunge really helps.
Really?
Um, yeah, putting myself up against challenges that I create.
Mm.
So if I go to the gym and look, there's a backside to this too, right? I just had to have surgery because I went too hard in the gym. But if I
Mm.
go to the gym and I push really hard, I've created like a physical challenge that first of all, it forces me out of my head
Mm-hmm.
because all of my problems, my actual problems, are in my head.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're financially secure, we're fine, but if I start getting in my head and the knives come out and they're not pointed in a direction where I'm doing something with my thoughts, but my thoughts are doing me, things go bad fast. So if I get in that cold plunge and I, start chanting or doing whatever the hell I do in there, which is usually something weird,
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm not in my head and I get a reference for that. Or if I meditate, I'm out of my head. But I have to create challenge uh, for myself in
Mm-hmm.
order to do that. So that's the best way for me to do it,
Mm-hmm.
that I know of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
What about you? When you get in your head, what do you do? What do you do to get out of there?
Mm. Uh, check in with how I'm actually feeling. Check in with my body. Um, go to gratitude. Go to meditation. I love my red light. Um, yeah, exercising, connection. Connection actually is really helpful for me. Calling my people. That's super helpful.
Um, when you call your people and you're in that space, how do you bring it to them? What does that sound like?
Um, I usually just ask if I have a couple people on speed dial. If they have a few minutes, I could use some space, or I could use a few minutes. That's it. And then and it's like Alexa I'll just feel I feel completely safe. So it's like I don't even have to like think about it. It's just like anything that comes out, and I just know that she can hold it in a
Yeah,
way that feels really safe. So, and it's so helpful.
yeah,
Yeah.
I hear that.
Hmm.
And also whether or not you're you're even on the right planet, being validated in your feeling probably is really helpful, and then you can
Yeah.
kind of let it move through you.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Um, and I don't think it matters being on the right planet, because how we feel is how we feel, right? Like
Yeah,
I will ask for feedback often.
right.
But I think also just like having that initial space where it's just like space holding, and having the validation in my experience, my feeling is really helpful.
Yeah. What up, Brian? Long time, brother. Um, yeah, no, I hear you. Um, I have my men for that, and I use it, but it makes me happy to know that you have some women that you really trust to
Hmm.
go to when you're going through it. Because I also know that, like with my men, if I go to something and it's about you, there's
Hmm.
never a making you wrong. It's always just about my experience and what I'm going through and how am I showing up for myself and am I holding standards and terms, etc.
Hmm. Hmm.
Speaking
Yeah.
of standards, do you have when you're working with somebody, what are the standards? What are the rules of engagement?
Um, it's the rules of engagement are mostly around the frame.
Hmm.
I feel like the frame is so important because that we're both honoring the time and the space, and that kind of like holding it with reverence holds the whole process in that way. Not that we have to be all serious about it, but just like this is something that we believe in, this is something that we believe is transformative, and holding it in that way that we're meeting weekly, this time and place, and we're both showing up to it as best we can is a big part of the transformation. Everyone's in a different place when they come to the work. So, um, I don't demand like show up in this certain way
Hmm.
because everyone's going to be in a different place.
Hmm.
But just the willingness to show up and to keep showing up
Hmm.
as far as we've agreed is the biggest part of it. Um, yeah.
And in between, so in between sessions, how do you help your clients work towards maintaining that momentum? Because I know, like I know a lot of your clients, and if I don't know them, I end up meeting them, and then I do know them, and they all rave, and you change their lives, you save their lives, yada yada yada, and I'm like, and you hear sort of the same from mine, and we have two very different philosophies in what we do or in the way we do it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I'm really curious to to know sort of your tricks in motivating from week to week, and staying sort of integrated and with the process.
Mm-hmm. Um, I think it's different for everyone. I think like some people, I really need to tune into the individual and what they're ready for or what they have an appetite for at the moment. And like the biggest thing that I think is helpful is to really convey to people that they're not doing it wrong, that they can't do it wrong. That because I think so many people are so used to making themselves wrong as a habit, that is completely unproductive. Hi, Natalie.
Hi, Natalie.
And that if I give them something to work with or I give them something to bring into the week, it can be really demotivating if they go, "Oh, I didn't do it. Oh, I'm doing it wrong or I'm failing." Like that is not what we want to do, and that is not going to make them want to stick with the process more. So it's really tuning into and having the conversation around um, what's going to work for this person right now in this moment, and that it can change. And we want to work towards a sense of self validation, a sense of accomplishment, a sense of changing the relationship from I'm wrong to something that feels very different, that feels a lot more productive. So whatever, basically it's whatever I can do to work with them, um, to make them feel like they're making progress, and if they feel that way then they are.
Right. So when you get somebody who has come to you, having been referred to you by, one of the people that, you've made a huge impact in their life, you've changed their life, et cetera,
Mhm.
whatever, and they come to you and they're just completely shut down.
Yeah.
and they're sitting there, and you feel like you're talking to a
Hmm.
wall. How do you how do you get them to come out of that energy?
Yeah. Yeah, it's interesting because a lot of it goes to what we've been talking about actually, which is building safety.
Hmm.
Um, there's there's a reason that people are it can be in that state, and in order to open, just like we were talking about, my feminine opening and expressing, feeling safe in the containment of your masculine, it's really the same, that if someone isn't quite ready to open, we spend time building trust, um, creating safety, so and me working with them to start to create and build safety within themselves. um so it's a process, and I just need to be a little more patient, and also I'm like looking for where there might be a little opening. um yeah.
Um,
What about you?
what about me?
What about what standards and I don't remember the way you phrased the question, but what do you have in terms of the work that you
Well,
do?
I actually stole my standards from my men's team, and I apply them uh, because I feel like they're pretty much bulletproof.
Mm-hmm.
And the original standards, I think there were five, and the original standards were first and foremost, have fun. And have fun doesn't mean be goofy, be a weirdo. It means come from a context of fun, understanding that none of this is that serious.
Yeah.
None of this experience of a life is really that serious unless we decide it is. And if we decide it is, then we're spending all that time in our head.
Yeah.
Because when you're in your heart and you're in your body, you're not that serious.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, um, so that's first. Be accountable. Show up on time. Um, be ready 5 minutes early. Don't get it's like going to work. Don't show up to work at 11 to start work at 11. Show up to work at 10:50 to start work at 11. Be prepared.
Mm-hmm.
If you say you're going to be there on a Monday, show up on a Monday.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't need to be rigid, but um, it serves what we're looking to build if you are accountable.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, be supportable. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
being supportable really means being willing uh, to hear something that might be challenging for you to hear. You don't have to take it as gospel, but be open to the possibility that you're paying me and I'm here to support you. And sometimes I'm going to say some things that are going to be tough to hear. Be willing to hear
Mm-hmm.
it. Hold on. Tell the truth.
Mm-hmm.
Telling the truth is imperative, and it's not. Being direct with the truth. Don't don't dance around it. Just get with it because uh, if we're not being entirely honest with each other, we're probably just spinning our wheels.
Mm-hmm.
Which brings me to the last one, which is keep it tight.
Mm-hmm.
Don't go on and on in story. Our job is to get through story into what's creating the story so that we can change the story and so that everything, all of our actions, thoughts, context can attach itself to the new story.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
those are really my
Cool.
standards. Yeah.
And do you notice that people who really buy into that more have a more transformative process, or transform more quickly?
It's black and white.
Yeah.
It's I mean, it's 100% successful when people buy into it, and it's a
Mm-hmm.
100% not successful when they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Can I help you tread water? Can I get you to next week?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
can do that with anybody.
Yeah.
But are you going to see real transformation, real change, a new love, a new job, a new home? Um, I always talk about I don't set goals. We work towards building a new reality where your goals already exist there.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe in chasing something. I don't believe in chasing anything other than fun.
Mm-hmm.
If you chase fun, if you work towards fun, uh, your life is going to be fun. You're going to be more playful. You're going to be more open, willing. You're going to be a fan. You're going to be a fan of any and everything. And if you show up to life as a fan, everything's great.
Yeah,
You know,
it's true.
Even when
It's
things
true.
even when things are shitty, if you're a fan of life, you understand that's part of it. You don't take it so seriously.
It's true. You can also be fun.
You can be fun. Well, if you are fun, right? Then you can play with the law of attraction. And I have a tendency to not be fun. I do.
Hmm.
I'm a grumpy old man a lot of the time. I
Hmm.
really am. And but you know what? That's okay. You know what's funny is I was talking to Kyle,
Hmm.
and he's like, and I was coming off ketamine, and I was talking about how I was being grumpy and this and that. He's like, you want me to tell you a secret, dude?
Hmm.
I kind of like it when you're grumpy.
That's
So
nice. I love it.
yeah.
I love it.
So
Um, I want to actually ask you something going back to talking about like the safety and the containment,
mhm,
because when we were early in our relationship,
mhm,
like probably the first year solid,
mhm.
um, I was kind of fresh out of a not fresh, but like I'd had
Not as fresh
a
as
pretty
me.
long, what's that?
Not as fresh as me.
No, not as fresh as you, but pretty fresh. Um, of a pretty long off and on relationship. And I had some scar tissue from that, some pretty fresh scar tissue. And I was really kicking the tires on you. I was really pushing against the walls to see if they would break. And what I was really pushing for was safety. And so you obviously like held it like nobody's business. And I'm just curious about that, like what that was for you, and how as a man do you know when you're like, oh, I'm holding this, I'm good, I'm solid, or like, oh, whoa, this chick's going a little too far, like I gotta get out of here. Like,
Well,
what can you tell me about that or tell us about that?
yeah,
Gonna be true. Yeah.
I, I believe that when, at least for me,
Hmm.
um, the feminine is testing the masculine fairly constantly, more so in the beginning of a relationship.
Oh, on Scott being grumpy. Okay, got it. Okay, yeah.
Okay. It's kind of like, so I talk about the masculine being like a mountain,
Yeah.
and the mountain as a whole is firm,
Hmm.
right? But it's also supple.
Hmm.
And if you're an animal walking on the mountain, you got to test the mountain to make sure the mountain's not going to collapse from under you. It's not going to crumble. So
Hmm.
the test is actually so that I'll win. It's not to make me lose. It's so that I can show that I'm stable,
Hmm.
that I'm able to contain, and sustain. Because, you know, when you're a woman and you're looking for a partner, at least from everything that I know, and look, I study a lot about the masculine and the feminine. I have a very clear idea on the way this works.
Hmm.
Um, what's going to happen is, if I was a bull and I'm containing you, and there's a crack in the bull, what's going to happen?
Um, well, it's gonna leak all over.
Well, how's that going to work out?
Not
So
great.
I just I just look at it like, if I'm a deer and I'm walking on a hill and I put my foot down on the ground and the hill collapses from under me, I'm going to fall on my face. And that illusion of safety is incredibly important to the feminine, so that it can express itself.
Yeah.
And at whatever point it was that you began to believe me, into, you always believed in me, but to believe me that I was. And by the way, your belief in me allowed me to become that stable person, because in my past relationship, because I was emasculated, I wasn't stable,
Mm.
because there was no call to action.
Mm.
The
What do you
feminine
mean by
calls the
collection?
masculine. Well, the feminine calls the masculine to action. It calls the masculine to put up that container. And the container isn't walls. It's not like it's not like strict, because it has to be
Mm.
supple. It has to be has to be able to receive also. It's
Mm.
not, what's the word I'm looking for? Um,
Malleable?
it has to be malleable. What would be the opposite of that?
The opposite of malleable? Stiff?
Yeah, but even more than that, like rigid. That's the word, rigid.
Rigid.
It's
Mm.
not about being rigid or being controlling. This is something that I talk about a lot with men who are in relationship who don't feel safe with their partner
Mm-hmm.
and they become controlling,
Mm-hmm.
right? And you're right, Genevieve. That's what I'm talking about. The suppleness on top of the mountain. Um, when a woman feels controlled, they begin to resent. And when they resent, all hell breaks loose. That's when cheating happens. Um, that's when subverting, when you come home and you get a dirty look. Like all that is from resentment. And control is the easiest way to get a woman to feel resentful. It's the
Mm-hmm.
easiest way. Now,
Mm-hmm.
in the beginning of a relationship, it can feel cute.
Right.
It can, right?
Yeah.
But it's not sustainable. The feminine isn't looking to be controlled, it's looking to be contained. And the safety in the containment without control,
Mm-hmm.
like a field of play, like in ceremony. Yeah, there's a
Mm-hmm.
field of play, and you can throw all the marbles up, but you can't leave the fucking house,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. Yeah.
that that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And so it's incredibly important to not be rigid for a man and not be controlling,
Mm-hmm.
and find ways to show your partner that you are there, but you're not on them.
Right. 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 So I have so many questions. So first, like going back to the beginning part where I was like, let me make sure I'm safe. How, as a man, do you know, like, oh, this like she's cray, or like this is not something that I want to contain, or like it's too much, versus like, oh, she's just kicking the tires and I got this. Like, what is that? How do you know the difference for you?
Well, with you,
Mm-hmm.
you had your shit together. You
Mm-hmm.
had a kid, you had a job, you put yourself together very well. You contained yourself. You show up to the world in a very well put together way while still having that wild element to you.
Uh-huh.
But the wildness isn't what you were leading from. You weren't unbridled.
Uh-huh.
If you were unbridled, then there's a
Mm-hmm.
feeling. You can feel it in your
Mm-hmm.
belly, like I'm not a big enough container for
Mm-hmm.
this, or I don't want to waste my time and energy because I know I'm just going to be running this person around the living room the rest of my life, which
Mm-hmm.
isn't, like if there's no, if, if the woman has no chill, like
Mm-hmm.
no chill button,
Mm-hmm.
then it can be very dysregulating for the man. Well, when a man feels dysregulated, he knows.
Yeah.
If he's self-aware in any way, he knows.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah. Yeah.
that's kind of
Yeah. Oh,
that
it's
that
Kristen.
kind of does that answer
Yeah,
your
yeah,
question?
totally, totally. Um, and I had another question about so going back to the what were we just talking about before, where you were talking about the container, containment versus control. How can a woman show up to the man to kind of call that forward, to call forward him being a container, or maybe if he's a little too in the control, how can she show up to call him toward being in containment versus being in control?
Well, okay. So the most important words a woman can say to a man is "You're a
Mm-hmm.
good man." It's 99% of what a man wants to hear.
Mm-hmm.
99%. It's
Mm-hmm.
not. It's not. It's not. I love you. It's not. Um, it's not even you're doing great. It's you're a good man,
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately, where the rubber meets the road, a man is looking to be accepted by his partner, and
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't mean accepting behaviors. That's why I'm saying it's not you're doing great. It's you're a good man. It's that I see the goodness in you, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
reflecting that back to you. um, in working with men for quite some time, there is a pattern of men thinking they're
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah.
It comes out in our culture a lot.
Hmm.
There's a lot of men walking around with a lot of
Yeah.
shame and a lot of shame for shit they didn't do. It goes a lot of it goes back to puberty. Puberty is a very, very scary time for men. They're very confused. They question their sexuality. They question their manhood. If they went through puberty too early, they're like, why do I have a full beard and everybody's still a little kid? If they went too late, it's why did this guy have hairy legs and he's got all these girlfriends and I'm sitting here nerd in the corner? Like there's so much there, and your face turns into a pizza, and there's so much trauma there. And you're jerking off in the corner and you got caught by whoever, and there's all of these things and there's all of this shame
Yeah.
uh, for men. And also, beyond all that, you were 12 years old and you were this cute little kid, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're so cute, you're so cute." And then you got injected with testosterone. So basically, you're on steroids now. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, you're on
Yeah.
steroids. And you didn't give yourself the steroids. So now you're like a predator. You see like every woman you see, you're like, I gotta go jerk off. You're like all this shit and it's all haywire, and you feel bad and you feel shameful.
Hmm.
And, and there's nobody and you feel very alone in that.
Hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
you feel very alone in that. And even if people want to talk to you about
Hmm.
it, you're not really open to hearing it because you're also in this place of fuck you to the
Hmm.
world. This is for so many people that I work with. And a lot of kids, one of the saving graces that historically I've heard is actually music really helps boys going through that, like
Hmm.
whether it's rageful music or spiritual music or
Hmm.
something, um, because it is very, very unnerving, and there's a lot of trauma there. And so for a man coming out of that, let's say in his 20s, 30s, 40s, whether or not they have eyes on it, that
Yeah.
trauma's there. It,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
and and so hearing from a woman that you respect, hearing from a woman that you've given energy to, not somebody who was a conquest, but somebody who you actually see a future with, hearing you're
Hmm.
good. I see that. I'm
Hmm.
telling you that I see that is validating something in you that maybe you've
Yeah.
abandoned.
Yeah.
And in that is a call. There's a demand in that,
Hmm.
right? And
Hmm.
there's a subtle demand when somebody
Yeah.
sees you, and that's to continue showing up as that.
Yes. Yes.
And, and so it's unsaid, but there is a demand there,
Hmm.
and
Okay.
and a man can either cower or he can step up.
Yeah. Beautiful. I see that too in actually with the men that I work with and how empowering it is to actually start to see yourself as good and believe in and imagine what would be different for me if I just like knew without a shadow of a doubt that I was good. Um, because it's like actually it's so empowering and actually like there's this segment of men that I've seen that really hold themselves back and aren't really in their power because on some level they're scared of being that whatever predator or kind of scary bad guy because they haven't fully like accepted their goodness.
And
um
and not to interrupt you, but there's something really important in what you said, because when, the feminine likes to be objectified
mhm,
when it's safe.
mhm.
Like like a flower
Hmm.
likes to be objectified, and a lot of men that I work with um, are afraid to go
Hmm.
there, and then they wonder why there's like the sexual. So sex is really the nucleus to the relationship. When the sex life is good, it's I try to use a metaphor where it's like the very inside of a spider web, and it's very dense there. And then as it permeates out, it's still the same web, but it permeates
Hmm.
out. and because your sexuality is so intimate to the core of who you are, and for a lot of men and women, there's a lot of shame there,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and so and so knowing that you're good and having a woman tell her partner that she wants to be objectified, use your words. Don't don't assume that they know, because they don't,
Mm-hmm.
because they've been made wrong for it historically, and our culture makes them wrong for
Yeah.
it. So if the containers say, tell them, they
Yeah.
want to hear it.
Yeah. Yeah. I think another way of saying that is to feel desired, really. Like women, as far as I know, I don't know every single woman, but from the ones that I've known and spoken to and myself, a big part of being turned on is feeling desired. So yeah.
Yeah. And by the way, and for the man too, that matters. Feeling desired, because that's the next step after accepting.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, Genevieve had a question. And how do we integrate prior kids while also making each other feel chosen? They feel threatened. It's a good question. Um, how did we do that?
I think we made a point of of spending quality time with the kids individually. My kids from my past marriage bicker a lot. They fight a lot. Um,
Mm,
and so like, if I, like last night,
mm-hmm,
for instance, we had Valhalla with us, and I was like, you guys take off. I want to spend some time with Annabelle.
mm-hmm,
Um, because Annabelle really craves me.
mm-hmm,
Miles is kind of, you know, in the clouds. Uh, but Annabelle, like is really good at letting me know that she craves me.
mm,
Um,
mm. Oh, did we feel threatened by each other?
no, did
Um,
they feel threatened by Deanna?
oh, did they? I don't think so.
No, 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 no,
Uh,
no, no. I mean, look, you're
um,
you're 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 more boundaried and strict than I am,
mm-hmm,
and so I think that they feel something there, but but it's good for them.
mm-hmm. That's interesting. I thought they liked it. Um, I think they were also so young that um, that it's
They don't really
just
know
kind of
otherwise.
always,
Yeah,
yeah, it's always been that way. Um,
I mean, Genevieve, Miles was 2.
yeah. And with Maximus, I don't know, it just was so, it felt so seamless. Like,
I mean, Maximus and I were family the first time I met him. The
yeah.
first time I met him, we were sitting downstairs debating. I don't remember what it was, and like getting a chuckle out of each other's responses to what we were saying.
Hmm.
So, but Maximus is he's a
Yeah.
different kind of kid.
Yeah. And with Valhalla, I mean, Annabelle had been asking for a baby girl. She was like, I'll buy, literally like the few months before I got pregnant, she was like, I'll buy you a gold watch if you give me a real baby girl.
He owes me a gold watch,
Yeah.
people. I'm holding her to it. I'm holding
Yeah.
it to it.
Yeah. But I don't know. I think it's just like the respect between us and I guess the respect for each person in the family. And and the overall, to me it's always about like the intention too of like what's the bigger picture here? What do we want here that helps with something like integrating new kids or blended families.
I also think that the way that we show up for each other,
Hmm.
and them seeing us, like really love each other and show affection to each other, makes them feel safe. Uh,
Yeah.
and it's a safe place to land. And I
Hmm.
think that our job, especially as they get older and they start to, become even more individual, and, eventually one of them's going to fuck something up, or, something's going to happen because they're
Hmm.
kids.
Hmm.
Knowing that it's a warm, safe place, regardless, and that they're always welcome, uh, is first and foremost. And I think they're very clear that that's that is this.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Does that answer it, Genevieve?
Um,
Go ahead.
I have to get off. I
Okay.
have a session.
All right.
That was fun.
Yeah.
Thank
Thank you. I love you.
you.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day.